Welcome to Overtime with Jared P. and Johnny O. Our first episode, not in football season. And so I'm excited about where things are going to go. And of course, we're talking a lot about football in this episode, including Aaron Rodgers' next stopping point, next home. Where will he be? Also, we're getting to ACC basketball, like who matters this year? Who's going to make the tournament? And is the one of the worst years for the ACC, and how the SEC, are they the best conference, or are they overrated? We'll get into it. But
All
Johnny,
right.
what you got?
Well, let's go with our title sponsor. Let's mention Estate Jewelry and Loan. Something old, something new. Estate Jewelry has a great selection of new and estate jewelry, and you can really find a unique piece for any occasion. Brian, our friend Brian Demore, his showroom is beautiful and has lots to choose from. It's a very cool little local jewelry store that you got to see it, man. It's really neat. Estate Jewelry, Diamonds, and Watches. Check them out at 2511 Battleground Ave. And also, you can go to their website at estatejewelryloan.com. And also Salsarita's Fresh Mexican Grill, located in High Point at the Palladium and in Greensboro in the Target Shopping Center on New Garden Road. It's got food trucks, catering, daily specials. You can go to salsaritas.com and find out all the information on that. And we thank Brian Demore for being our title sponsor.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. All right, ACC basketball usually, for years and years and years. I know you probably have some stats, but it was either every year or every other year there was at least an ACC team in the Final Four for like 30 or 40 straight years, and that could happen again this year with Duke. I hope not, but it's just an ugly year for ACC basketball. There's some teams that are, I don't know. It's hard to know if they're good. It's hard to know how good Duke is with the
You
ACC
just
being
don't.
so bad.
You're right. You don't know. Of course, Duke is the cream of the crop right now, but I'm happy Clemson beat them. At least that gave us a
Yes.
little bit of hope that maybe the ACC has a little something else besides the Dukies. But and Clemson looks good. I mean, you gotta count them in. And Louisville, okay, is having a good season. But after that, I don't know. You got your Tar Heels. They're still saying that they're in,
No.
in the conversation. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll give you a stat, Johnny, real quick, not to
Yep.
stop you there, but this is before their last game, but which they did win, but it was a horrible who they play. Um,
Syracuse.
Syracuse. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Syracuse is sorry. I know it's your team, but Syracuse is so bad this year,
Oh, they're terrible.
and
Terrible.
they won and Carolina won by 6. It was
Yeah.
terrible. But they have to win their last 7 games. If they do, and that includes Duke. They'd have a 44% chance of just making the tournament. They're not going to make the
Jeez.
tournament.
No, no.
Right.
ACC is the weakest it's ever been. But there's a reason for that, I guess. Coach K, Jimmy Boeheim, Tony Bennett, Roy Williams, Jim Larinaga, all Hall of Fame coaches. Leonard Hamilton leaving after this year. Coaching makes a difference, man. It definitely makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
And it's like the ACC is rebuilding. All the teams are rebuilding. But I also don't forget about Wake Forest. They're 19-7, and you would think, well, geez, they should be in the, definitely, be in the chatter anyway. They're 0-5 against AP top 25 teams.
Wow.
And while I'm saying that about AP top 25 teams, I think you might join in on this conversation. Listen to this. Top 25 wins goes a long way with the committee. It's a whole different record they kind of look at. In the SEC, all the teams in the SEC have a total of 62 top 25 wins.
Oh, wow.
The conference has 62 top 25 wins as we speak today. The Big Ten has 40 top 25 wins. And that sounds a little more, about where it should be in the 40 range. The Big East has 18 top 20. They're a little down this year. Your boy Danny Hurley's having a little difficulty at
Ugh.
UConn, but look out for him if they get in a tournament. I wouldn't want to play him,
No, no, they're
But
well coached. I hate them, but they're well coached.
but the Big East with only 18 top 25 wins. Okay, the ACC. Take a guess.
Well, if you would have led off the question, but now I know it's less than 18. So, and that's what do we have? 14 teams, 15 teams in the league. We have 15
Yeah,
teams in the league. If you'd have asked me that, I would have tried. I would say we'd had 30 or between 30 and 40.
right. They have a touchdown and an extra point. Seven top 25 wins for the whole conference. I just, when I looked at that number, I could not believe what I was reading here,
It
man.
was Duke have 3 of those or 4 of those. I mean,
No. Oh, now here's the kicker, man. Duke's 23-3, and they're 2-2 against top 25 teams.
Yeah.
Now we understand they're not playing a lot of top 25 teams in the ACC. I mean, so they don't have that opportunity. But they're only 2-2. So, how we don't know how good they are. They're a good
Right.
team, obviously, and Cooper Flag is special, but I don't see them making a lot of noise with all these other big teams.
That's a great stat.
Woo.
Yeah, because usually, I mean, you have, the teams you mentioned, even if Florida State would be ranked, you'd have
Yeah,
5, 6, 7, 8 ACC teams ranked every year with 2 to 3 in the top 10 or top
yeah,
15, and
yeah.
lots of times 2 in the top 5. And so, I mean, Duke's there, but I'm sleeping on Duke. I mean, they'll have a number 1 seed unless they collapse here, why would they? They're playing in the ACC.
Yep.
So that will help them get to, the second weekend easy. But after that, I don't think this is a team that can win a championship. I did see that Cooper Flag said that he wants to come back next year, but he's not going to do that.
Well, you say that, and I don't want him to come back, but then I hear what's his name, Seth Greenberg on ESPN.
Yeah.
He's up. Cooper Flag is up near $7 million in NIL.
Wow.
7 million. So
Maybe he will stay.
maybe he will stay, and he's only I believe he's only 18, maybe turning 19 next month or something like that. So who knows what he's going to do, but hopefully he goes. But I'm so sick of Duke having all these players. But
I know. Well, and the thing about Carolina, I'm a Carolina fan, but Carolina's one of the biggest brands ever, and they have a better overall history than Duke does, and most colleges.
boy, I like the way you throw that
They
in.
do. We have 7 championships. They have 5. I mean, we've been more Final Fours, more head-to-head wins, all of it. I mean, where do you want to challenge me? But they have more. They have more 5-star and McDonald's All-Americans than Carolina does. But Carolina has a bunch of 5-stars, and this is the worst performing and underperforming Carolina basketball team that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're not going to make the tournament, and they might end the season at 500 with, RJ Davis, preseason All-American, ACC player of, or All ACC last year, ACC player of the year last year.
Yeah.
Then you got 2 guys in the top 15, Ian Jackson and Powell, and they're 5-stars. Seth Trimble coming back, Elliot Cadeau coming back. I mean, the fact that they're not going to make the tournament in a weak ACC is horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, people are saying like Carolina needs better structure, more NIL money, which is shocking because it's Carolina, but it is true when it comes to their basketball program. But the fact that you have all these 5-stars and you're not ranked is gross to me.
No, it is. It is. Now, it's funny. The Tar Heels have one less top 25 win than Duke, though. They're 1-6. So
Yeah.
that's telling me that the Tar Heels have had a tough schedule. They always play a lot of tough teams at the beginning of the year. So,
And
I'll
they're
give them a little.
competitive earlier in the year. They played a crazy schedule. And now they're just not. I mean, they were down by 30 in the first half against Duke. It's like, are you kidding me? In the rivalry game?
They just
That
don't
alone.
they don't have anybody in the middle,
No, well, and Seth Trimble, I know you follow ACC basketball, but he's a good athlete. He was averaging about 18 points a game before he got injured, and he's come back same. But he plays hard though. He's one of the players that plays hard, and he said it's a shame the way to wear the Carolina jersey and to give up. So he's basically
Yeah.
calling out players on their team that just given up.
Yeah. I really thought my team, who I'm just very disappointed with the program right now, but I thought, and we gave Carolina a game. I thought maybe that was going to be the game that they win in the Dome, at least for the fans at the Dome, that say, hey, you beat Carolina, and they made a hell of a second half comeback. I was at a wedding party or whatever, so I didn't get to watch the second half, but I understand it was a pretty good second half by Syracuse. But we, not to make any excuses because we stink, okay? But our
Right.
Donnie Freeman was our, 5-star freshman, and he's had a boot on his leg since mid-December. So he's a
It
6'10".
makes a difference. Yeah, it makes a
No,
difference.
makes a big difference. But we still, and our big guy played pretty good against you guys. He's kind of a goofball, but he put up some numbers.
Well, yeah,
Numbers.
join the
So,
club. Now, did you hear this? That the Dean Smith Center might be closed,
yeah.
and they're going to maybe expand the hospital there at UNC Chapel Hill, the hospital system, and then move into an off-campus complex, kind of like some of the NBA does and some other colleges have done, where they have where it's still close to campus, right there, like north of campus. But then they would have, I don't know how I feel about it, except for as an adult, I kind of like it because probably easier to get to,
It is.
and
It will
and it
be.
has it like I don't need to stay at a hotel, but it has hotels. They're gonna have hotels, restaurants. Um, if you drink, bars and all that, all right there.
Yeah.
And so I mean, Dean Smith Center is iconic. It's beautiful, the history there, but the game's changing. I hate that. I wish they could pick that stadium up and move it there.
No,
It's
I
a
know.
beautiful
No,
stadium.
it's a wonderful arena, man. It really is. But it is kind of hard to get to, lack of better term. It is kind of
It is
difficult
hard to get to.
to get there. It's a pain in the ass, is what it
It
is,
is. And you got to
But
find the one parking deck that's kind of close, and you're walking for a mile, and then you can't. There's nowhere to eat on campus.
yeah,
Nowhere. Let me go to Franklin Street, but then that's also parking there. And then getting back in your car. And
yeah,
probably the best thing to do is get an Uber. But even then, it's so jammed. You're sitting in an Uber just waiting. So it's like, then afterwards, the chancellor I thought was funny said, then afterwards, the students and patrons don't have anywhere to go drink. And I was like, huh. True, I guess,
yeah,
but it's just kind of funny to hear the chancellor talking about drinking. But
yeah.
anyway,
It is kind of
that's a
interesting.
big deal, though. I mean, that's top three iconic basketball arenas.
Yeah,
That Kansas, Syracuse is
absolutely.
they don't have the history, but I mean, as far as like just a place that people go, like, oh my gosh, this place
Uh,
is incredible.
oh, it's wonderful.
Kentucky, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so the ACC is struggling, but then like I mentioned about the SEC, I mean, they might get, I mean, there's been talk up to 14 teams. Okay. They have, I guess, 16 teams in the conference. 14 out of the 16 have a winning record. Okay. But that's how the ACC used to be. Even the
yeah.
bottom teams, because they would win, their first 10 games out of conference. But you got Auburn number one, coached by Bruce Pearl. Alabama, well, they're number 4 now because Florida moved up to number 2. So SEC has 1, 2, and 4, in the rankings right now.
Wow.
And Alabama's coach is great, Nate Oates. Look out for Alabama, man. They could definitely win it all. That's a team to be reckoned with.
He could be coaching Carolina next year.
Well,
Don't sleep.
well, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's building his own little jewel
Yeah, it's
at
just
Bama.
something though when they come to you and they say, well, they have to pay him. They
Yeah.
say you could be one of the coach, you can be the next coach at Carolina, the first out of the family coach at Carolina. Oh,
He would be the guy. I'm serious.
yeah.
He's a hell of a coach. He was coaching before he went to Alabama. He was coaching at the University of Buffalo. Okay.
Okay.
2.5 hours from Syracuse. If Boeheim would have retired like he was supposed to 5 or 6 years ago, that was my guy that I wanted Syracuse to go after. He goes to Alabama and he's turned them into a freaking basketball school, man. It's
That's
unbelievable.
insane. Well, and he plays like the way Carolina plays. They play fast.
Love it.
They have bigs. They have quality guards.
Yep.
And they will you will score on them and they'll be back down 2 seconds scoring on you. And then Carolina now is just walking the ball up the court with a 4-guard lineup, passing the ball around and throwing up some garbage. no offensive rebounds, and they score 60 points a game. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
But I still think right now Auburn is definitely the best team in the nation. But
Yeah.
you got Tennessee, Texas A&M with Buzz Williams coaching them. Remember Buzz Williams at Virginia
Yeah.
Tech?
Yeah.
Another great coach. Tennessee with Rick Barnes. I mean, coaching, man, coaching.
Yes.
I always thought, and you got to have the players. There's no doubt about it. But the coaches
Look at
certainly
Rick Pitino. I know you're talking about SEC, but look at Rick Pitino at St. John's.
Wow. St. John's is legit again, man. I love it. Yes.
And he's probably paying players before, but now he can actually pay them. I mean, it's like he's a great coach.
You know, my brother and I were talking about that, and I'm rooting for Rick Pitino. I've always liked him for whatever reason, and everywhere he goes, he wins. But when he played UConn last week or whenever it was, and they beat UConn, St. John's beat UConn. And remember when Danny Hurley was yelling at the refs saying, "Hey, I'm the best. I'm the best in the business right now." Yeah. My brother and I were joking. Pitino probably went up to him before the game and said, "Hey, what was that statement? I'm still around, buddy."
Yeah, exactly.
He's one of the best.
I've won at 2 schools.
Exactly. But the Johnnies are doing great. So they could win that Big East and they could make some noise. But but back to the SEC, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas with Calipari coaching them. They're supposedly going to get in the tournament. Texas. It's unbelievable how many teams are in there that could win it all. So I mean, anything can happen. I know we're in Carolina and all that, and it's all about ACC, but I don't want Duke winning. I'm not a Duke guy. I know you're not, and we can say whatever we want because it's our freaking show, right?
That's right. Anyone but Duke. And they have ABC, anyone but Carolina, but anyone but Duke. I mean, I don't care, if they're playing a terrorist organization. I would rather the terrorists. That's been a joke a long time with Carolina fans. Back in the day, they were like, they're playing Al Qaeda.
That's funny.
No one believes that. But I mean, it's just like, I don't want Duke winning. I can't relax now with Carolina being so bad until Duke's eliminated from the tournament.
Yep. And then I'll enjoy the tournament. Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't. I can't even watch Duke. They just make me. They're good. I respect them, man. I mean, they're always good, but I turn it off. I don't want to watch them play well. It just ticks me off.
It's like a bunch of arrogant coaches' kids, which are always the most arrogant kid on any team.
And I'm not a big. I don't know. I'm not a big Shire fan yet. But we'll see. He's doing a good job, and he knows his stuff. Again, we're not idiots. We know that, this guy is good at what he does, but I don't have to be a fan. Not a fan. So, no. Hey, let's move on. Give me a couple of your advertisers.
All right, we got Surf Hippie Fishing for all your fishing equipment needs and tournaments. Surf Hippie Fishing. That's with a PH.com is the website. We have Elite Performance Chiropractic. Former pro football player Jeremy Phillips, former guest on the show multiple times. He can, with any sort of injury, it doesn't even have to be sports related, just anything to do with, like with chiropractic or a chiropractor. He's there, and they have like really, really advanced technology that's, cutting edge technology to get you back doing the normal things, and in some instances doing it better than ever. They have 2 locations, Greensboro and Winston-Salem.
Yep. No, he does a great job. We also got Shank and Torrance Insurance. They're located in Greensboro, but they serve the entire Triad and state. Brian Torrance specializes in personal insurance, including auto, homeowners, and life insurance. Call him at 336-310-1320 for all your insurance needs. He will take care of you. He's been taking care of me for years. One of our newer sponsors, Live Hydration Spa. Have you done any of that IV hydration or anything?
We've done it with the show. We had
I figured.
come in, and they just came in. They're like, "What do you want? You want to feel better? You want more energy? What do you want?" And so they gave us all sorts of different. I think it might actually been Live Hydration.
Very interesting. Live Hydration Spa provides premier treatments for their clients to achieve optimal levels of health and wellness. The IV nutrition program has been proven to be one of the most effective ways to improve overall wellness. tailored to boost energy, hydration, improve circulation, decrease inflammation, and improve mental focus. You can go to livehydrationspa.com to check them out. And you can call them at 336-707-2796. They are located in the Brassfield Shopping Center where, what do you call it? Trader Joe's is, right in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And then, of course, last but not least, Imperial Marketing Solutions. He's been with us right from the beginning here, man.
Yeah.
Sale of equipment, sales of new reconditioned computer IT hardware, reconditioned equal to new he gives a 3-year warranty. He does out-of-state drop shipping, payment terms available. He's got laptops, desktops, whatever you need. Jimmy Snow at 315-345-8349. Please give him a call. Give him some business. He does a really nice job for us.
Absolutely. All right, Aaron Rodgers landing spot. And I'll let you go first because I think you said there's one spot you want him to land, one place you want him to go. And it's
Well,
not
okay, yeah, that's going home and getting out of the NFL, man. It's time for him to go, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's got him figured out of what he wants and what he likes and what he does. I don't know. He's a different bird, man. He really is. But I love that the Jets just said, "No, we're not really interested in bringing you back." That's a
thanks,
kick. That's
yeah.
a kick. So
Well, and apparently they asked him to not do the Pat McAfee show anymore on ESPN, and that was like, and when he said, "No, I'm going to continue to do that," they're like, "All right." That was
wow.
maybe that was a test, and they knew he wouldn't. It's like a red herring. They're like, "Oh, well, if we would have kept you, but we had this thing, and you disagreed." But I don't know if they were just doing that because they knew he would say no, which I think is interesting. But yeah, he's a $40-50 million cap hit.
Yeah.
And if I was him, I'd want out of. I mean, they got a new coach, but they do have a new coach every 2 or 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a dysfunctional organization. Devontae Adams will probably be gone. I mean, for me, it's like when you go to the Jets, either as a young player or as an older player, for the most part, with very few exceptions, it's hard to tell how good you are anymore. How good
Yeah.
you are there then, or even as an older quarterback. Is he washed, or is it because he's with the Jets?
I know.
But I mean, he also did have weapons. He had some offensive pieces and nothing.
He put up numbers. They were pretty good numbers, but they were numbers. They won 5 games, so they were down all the time, and so you can bring those numbers up. In the second part of the third quarter and the fourth quarter because it's prevent defense and you're just lighting it up, trying to get back in the game. So he still has it. I mean, obviously he can still throw the ball, but I wouldn't want him in my locker room. But I'm not a GM. But there's 4 teams. You tell me which one here. 4
Okay.
teams that could use him. I guess the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they need something. The Pittsburgh Steelers is an interesting. That could be an interesting 1-year stop for him.
Yep.
The Las Vegas Raiders is probably where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And the New York Giants.
Oh, I wouldn't want to go to any of those teams.
I know.
What about Minnesota?
Well, I just had the 4. It all depends on where Sam Darnold goes.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think they're going to let him go or what?
I mean, he kind of did what we thought he would do. After, I was skeptical the whole year. Then I was like, all right, this dude's playing great. And he wet the bed at the end of the season to get the number 1 seed. And then he totally wet the bed.
He did.
But then again, I mean, you can say about Mahomes. I mean, you play against a good defense or you have one bad game. So I don't want to hold that against him because he had, 17 great games, 18, pretty good games, some really great ones. I think they can get him for cheaper and he's younger. Aaron Rodgers would be a 1 to 2 year fix max and a cancer possibly in the locker room, although an offensive genius for a coach. Well, and Aaron Rodgers, I don't feel sorry for him. I don't dislike him either way, but he brought in the offensive coordinators and
He brought them all in. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought in all those people. He brought in washed up receivers, not Devontae Adams, but like others that he's like they have to play. And it's like so like he brought in these people, and then it still didn't work out offensively. Like if he put up like Joe Burrow type numbers, and they're losing. Like, wow, man, the Jets would be stupid to let him go. They're seeing something that he's not. It's not worth having him on the roster.
Yeah. And, I wonder if this will happen. Minnesota, Sam Darnold just played a full season. And they had a hell of a year up until those last two games. But he knows the system. He knows the players.
Right.
Why not stick with him for give him, I don't know, a 2 or 3 year, $150 million contract or something to see what he can do. He's only 28 years old. I checked that. I wasn't sure how old he was, but he's still
Right.
young. And he did put up some great numbers until those last two games. And, maybe they can fix that, put a couple of big linemen in front of him to make sure that he wasn't being chased, man. It was bad.
Yeah, he had no time to throw the ball. And you see what quarterbacks look like when they don't have time to throw the ball. Even a Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
No time to throw the ball.
You
Real quick,
gotta have-
Jalen Hurts, you signed that big contract. I couldn't remember if he had or not. You're right, he did. But it definitely is it's backloaded as far as cap hit.
Yeah.
Like in 4 years from now, the cap hit for that year is like 40-some million. Right now it's in the 20s because they had some, like, I guess the signing bonus and all that stuff, upfront money. So I was like, how do they have all this money to pay everybody? Well, they're only paying their quarterback a cap hit of $20 million.
Exactly.
As opposed to 50, which some of these teams are paying because they're, on a 1 or 2 year deal.
How about that? A smart front office,
Makes a difference.
Kansas City, very smart front office.
Yeah.
The Eagles, I think Minnesota, Detroit's doing a hell of a job.
Commanders.
And the Commanders, and boy, they're going to have to really prove it because they got a lot of money to spend. I can't wait to see what they're going to do here.
They're talking about Myles Garrett is the number. That's the odds-on favorite that Myles Garrett will be on their defensive line next year. But he's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, he is.
He's a beast, though.
It's wherever he goes, he will be a beast.
So I guess to answer your question, I think most likely, if it's one of those 4 teams, I think you're right. I think it'll be the Raiders. I think Tom Brady will say, "Hey, come in," because unless he's like, "I want to go to a contender." Well, none of those teams are contenders, and he's not going to make them a contender. He wants to go make money, be in like a kind of a cool city, be with Tom Brady, and under as a minority owner, then he can segue into broadcasting if he even wants to play anymore.
Right.
But I think if I had to put my money on it, it'd be the Raiders.
And I think you're right too. But I'm looking at even the Cleveland Browns. They're not going to go with put up with his crap of him telling them what he wants. The Pittsburgh Steelers will not do anything. They will make the decision.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin ain't playing with that. Yeah.
And the Giants, I don't know. The Giants, they just need help. But why would he? I don't think he's going to go to the Giants because they're not even close to being a contender for a while. So,
I think he should go to Pittsburgh. I just think he will go to the Raiders.
Yeah,
he should choose Pittsburgh if he can choose. He should choose Pittsburgh because
100%.
They could win. They could do something with him. But
yep. We'll see what happens. But again, and I'm sure will he take Devontae Adams is ready to go someplace too. So boy, he'll be a pickup. I know he's getting a little up there in age too as far as wide receiver, but I think he's got a couple years left in him.
Not to be such a homer, put him opposite of Terry McLaurin. I'd like that.
Ooh, yeah.
He'd be the 2. He'd be the 2 to Terry McLaurin.
That would be something.
That'd be a nightmare for defenses.
Yeah. But, that's all I got for Aaron Rodgers in this week's show, man. We got to really start talking some hoops and get our listeners educated. But, there isn't much we can tell them about the ACC. There's just nothing to talk about, man.
100%. And, free agency's coming up in the NFL. NFL is always king. So it'll be interesting because there will be a lot of quarterbacks and big time players making moves. It's always, and then obviously the draft. But yeah, we'll definitely, we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. All right, man. Well, great show.
Way to go.